It's like a lady's dress. Now, it has to be long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to keep it interesting. Now, with that joke, I'd like to give a little story about Bill. Now, Bill Bowser and I go back quite a while. But, you know, there are events in your life that you always remember, such as April the 14th, 1945, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed away and Harry Truman assumed the presidency. And at that event, Harry said that he felt like the sun, the earth, the moon, and the stars had fallen on his shoulders. A similar event happened to me on February the 1st of 1996 when I was in DBM. And there was a gentleman there named Richard Andrews who was moved up to Baltimore. Some of you people know Richard. And I became Richard II. And I had an assistant, Joanne Rusk. Now, I didn't know anything at all about procurement, really. I was in deep trouble. And the very first thing that came across my desk was a procurement solicitation for the Charlotte Hall Veterans Home. Now, where's Joel? Joel knows about that. The Charlotte Hall Veterans Home. And I'm looking at this thing. This is an $18 million contract for 3 years each year $18 million. And I knew that was a very important contract down in St. Mary's County, but I didn't know what to do. But someone had told me that you need to go see Bill Bowser. Now, in those days, they had what they called the Board of Public Works pre-board. Louis L. Goldstein used to have these meetings in the State Treasury buildings every Monday afternoon, and we would go there. And I found out that during certain breaks in the action, I got a hold of Bill, and I showed him in the hallway this solicitation for Charlotte Hall. And he looked at this, and he said to me, "Tom, you have a serious problem with this solicitation." I said, "Why?" I said, "I thought there was something queer about it." And he says to me, "Whoa, this thing here, it's a 210502 and a 210503 combo." Well, does anybody know what that means? Joel knows. Yeah. You know, a 210502 is a competitive sealed bid, and a 210503 was competitive sealed proposal. And it was a hybrid, and it was a but Bill, I just want to thank you because you straightened that out. You probably don't even remember this, but you straightened that out. That was a very long time ago. But the other thing about Bill was, Bill has been with the state now, well, he's been working for the government for 37 years. 20 years at City of Baltimore, and I believe 17 years with the state, 14 years of that here in DBM. But Bill, he always loved telephones. He was up in Baltimore City, and he told me about this wonderful phone system he had. He kept track of William Donald Schaefer's phone calls from his limousine when he's riding around the city looking at the potholes. When he would call up the Public Works Director and say, "Get these potholes fixed." So he always fell in love with these telephones. And he fell in love with the new ones, the cell phones. In fact, one day, I'm in the men's room on the first floor of DBM, and I'm washing my hands, and I hear this cell phone going off in the stall. Oh, and it was Bill. He was sitting on the throne, and guess who called? It was Peter Ray. Peter Ray, his buddy from DGS. So Bill, but I tell you what, I really had a problem when he procured this NEC phone system for the department. Remember the NEC phone system? Mm-hmm. Oh, I think you guys still have it. Well, we got this phone system. I couldn't understand it. There were too many buttons. I kept calling him up. I said, "Bill, how do you get this phone to work?" And he'd come running down to my office. So that was not a very good deal. I felt on a budget and management. So, Bill, I have a little payback for you on that. Will you stand up? Now, Kyle. Okay. I'm presenting this to you so that at any time during your grandfather's retirement, you can squirt him. Where's the parasol? I have a couple of gifts here for the love of his life, Miss Jan. If you would please come up here, I want to present a few things to you.
Oh boy.
The first thing you learn about when you retire is this. It says, a retired husband is a wife's full-time job. Everybody see that? That's for you to put on the wall.
Thank you.
Okay, no, don't go anywhere. Now, I know that Bill is going to do a lot of golfing and a lot of talking about his golf game. So, now when he comes home from these golf excursions and he's talking up a storm, I have for you some women's earplugs. So you can turn them off. And it's specifically designed for ladies. It has 35 decibel reduction in sound. So now, if that fails, I recommend you use this duct tape. You can put that over his mouth, and that will certainly shut him up. And always in retirement, you'd be surprised how often you use duct tape. Very important to use duct tape. So you got that one. Finally, I have...
You're in trouble.
I have this wonderful book here. Now, Jan does financial planning, well, works with the financial people, right?
Exactly.
So one of the best books is this guy, Stan Hinden. It says, How to Retire Happy. And there's like 12 most important decisions you must make before you retire. And he wrote this book, and you turn to the very first one, and it says right here, it says decision number 1. It says, play Maryland lottery. Win $1 million. Assign proceeds to Tom McCabe. Oh! He needs it to keep him happy in retirement. So that's for you.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoy that. Now, Brother Bill, Brother Tom, Brother Bill is next. If Bill could come up.
You getting out?